If you find yourself constantly looking at someone else's life, their achievements, their success, their wealth, stop. Stop right there, because comparison is a thief. It steals your joy. It steals your confidence. It steals your energy. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. See, life isn't a race against others. It's a journey with yourself. When you compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, you're setting yourself up for frustration, for disappointment, for unnecessary stress. Comparison makes you forget one simple truth. Success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person you become. Your journey is unique. Your timing is unique. Your gifts, your struggles, your opportunities, they are all yours alone. And here's the hard truth. No one will ever live your life better than you. No one will ever face your battles the way you do. And no one will ever achieve what you are capable of in your own way, if you keep looking at them. Today, we are going to explore the power of focusing on yourself, the freedom that comes from stopping comparison, and the success that follows when you take 100% responsibility for your own life. Because when you stop comparing, you start growing. When you stop comparing, you start creating. When you stop comparing, you start winning. This is not just motivation. This is a mindset shift, a call to action for anyone tired of living in the shadow of someone else's life. The challenge of life is not to live in someone else's shadow, but to become the person you are capable of being. And that, my friend, begins now. There's a silent thief in life. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't announce itself. And yet, it steals more joy, energy, and confidence than almost anything else. That thief is comparison. You see it everywhere. You scroll through social media, and suddenly, someone else's life looks better. Someone else is richer. Someone else is happier. Someone else is succeeding faster. And right there, your mind whispers, why not me? Why am I not there yet? That whisper grows louder. It grows into doubt. It grows into frustration. And before you know it, your own journey feels small. Your own efforts feel worthless. But let me tell you something. You've fallen into a trap everyone faces. A trap that has nothing to do with your potential and everything to do with perspective. Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself. Think about that. Comparison isn't just unhelpful. It's disrespectful. Not to others, but to yourself. Because your life, your journey, your struggles, they are unique. No one has walked your exact path. No one has faced your challenges in the same order, at the same time, with the same lessons. And yet, we insist on measuring ourselves by someone else's results. I remember a time in my own life. I had just started my career. I was learning the ropes. I was reading, attending seminars, and doing my best to grow. But everywhere I looked, there were people who seemed ahead. They had more money, more connections, more recognition, and I thought, maybe I'm too late. Maybe I'll never catch up. It felt discouraging. It felt unfair. It felt like life had dealt me a smaller hand. Then, one day, a mentor spoke words that changed everything. He said, stop looking at the scoreboard. Play your own game. Focus on your yard. Make your yard beautiful. And the rest will follow. It was simple, but it was profound. I realized that my energy had been wasted. Wasted on envy. Wasted on self-doubt. Wasted on trying to be someone else. Once I stopped comparing, I started growing. Slowly at first, but consistently. And over time, the results came. Not because I copied others, not because I tried to compete with everyone else, but because I focused on myself. Comparison is sneaky. It convinces you that you're behind. It convinces you that someone else's life is easier, better, faster. It convinces you that you need to match them step for step, dollar for dollar, achievement for achievement. But here's the truth. No one else's success diminishes yours. No one else's achievements take away from what you are capable of. And no one else's journey defines your worth. Success is to be measured not by what you have, but by what you've become. That's why comparison is dangerous. It measures your life by the wrong standards. It compares your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It ignores your progress, your lessons, your potential. So, how do you stop? First, you must be aware. Notice when your thoughts drift towards someone else. Catch the envy, catch the doubt, and gently redirect yourself. Second, focus on your own growth. Every day ask, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I learning, improving, and moving forward? Measure your progress against yourself, not others. Third, practice gratitude. Be thankful for the skills you have. Be thankful for the opportunities before you. Be thankful for your journey, even if it's slower than someone else's. And finally, embrace patience. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. Your timing is your own. Your victories will come if you commit to your own path. Happiness is not something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. Stop stealing joy from yourself by looking at someone else. Stop letting comparison dictate your confidence. Stop letting other people's highlight reels make you feel small. Instead, start measuring yourself against your own progress. Start valuing your own growth. Start living in your lane, because the moment you stop comparing is the moment you start thriving. And here's the secret. When you focus on yourself, your results don't just improve, they accelerate. Your energy multiplies. Your motivation deepens. Your life becomes yours fully. Comparison is a trap. Awareness is the key. Growth is the reward. And that, my friend, is where your journey truly begins. There's a simple truth most people overlook. You are your own benchmark, not your neighbor, not your coworker, not the influencer on social media with perfect photos. You, that's it. That's all. Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself. Think about it. When you constantly look at others, you're measuring your life with someone else's ruler. It doesn't fit. It never fits. You'll always come up short, or at least feel like you do. But when you compare to yourself, everything changes. I remember a time early in my career. I would go to seminars, sit in rooms filled with successful people, and I'd think, they've done more than me. They're further ahead. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And that thinking, it paralyzed me. I started doubting my abilities. I started questioning my timing. I almost quit before I truly began. Then, a mentor, someone I deeply respected, said something I'll never forget. The only person you should measure yourself against is the person you were yesterday. It was like a light switched on. Suddenly, the pressure to compete with everyone else disappeared. I realized growth isn't a race. It's a journey with your own footsteps, your own pace, your own milestones. Compare to yourself. Start with small things. Did you improve today? Did you learn something new? Did you handle a challenge better than you did yesterday? Those are the markers that matter. We must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you focus on yourself, the pain of discipline becomes meaningful. If you focus on others, the pain of comparison becomes crippling. I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine two gardeners. Both are growing the same type of plant. One gardener constantly looks at the neighbor's garden. He sees bigger flowers, brighter colors, and more growth. He becomes frustrated. He weeds his garden incorrectly. He overwaters. He pulls out plants too soon. The garden suffers. The second gardener focuses on his own garden. He waters consistently. He prunes carefully. He tends to the soil. He doesn't worry about the neighbor's success. And over time, his garden flourishes. Beautiful, strong, unique. That's the difference between comparing to others and comparing to yourself. When you compete with yourself, you create momentum. Small victories matter. Daily wins accumulate. Consistency compounds. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. When you measure your growth against your own past, progress becomes undeniable. It becomes empowering. It becomes joyful. Here's another lesson. Social media has made comparison worse. You see curated highlights of people's lives. You see their successes, their wealth, their vacations, and you think your life is lacking. But here's the truth. Social media is not reality. It's a spotlight, a highlight reel. You never see the struggles, the failures, the late nights, the sacrifices. Your life isn't behind. It's unfolding at its own pace. And if you focus on your growth, you will arrive at your own success on your terms. Start tracking your own progress. Keep a journal. Record your wins. Reflect on the challenges you've overcome. When you do, you'll realize something profound. You've grown more than you thought. You're stronger than you believed. You're capable of far more than comparison ever allowed you to see. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. When you focus on yourself, habits become powerful. Your actions no longer depend on someone else. They depend on your commitment to growth. And here's the final truth. Your life is unique. Your path is unique. Your timing is unique. Comparison steals time. Comparison steals focus. Comparison steals joy. But self-comparison, it fuels growth. It fuels motivation. It fuels excellence. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Measure your progress. Improve yourself daily. Celebrate your victories. Learn from your setbacks. This is the mindset of winners. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. Compare to yourself, not others. Because the only competition that matters is the one between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Let's stop for a moment. Have you ever thought, I could have done more. I should have done better. I left something on the table. That thought, it hurts, because deep inside, you know you carry something special. Now, I don't mean better in a prideful way. I don't mean walking around thinking you're superior. Number. What I mean is this. Inside of you is untapped potential, a gift, a possibility, a seed of greatness. And if you waste it, you'll never know what you could have been. I've seen it too many times. Someone with talent, someone with brains, someone with charisma, but they get distracted. They compare, they copy, they chase someone else's dream, and slowly they bury their own. The tragedy of life is not death. The tragedy is what we let die inside of us while we're still alive. That's wasted potential. You have something others don't, a way of thinking, a skill, a drive, a spark. That's what makes you better. But here's the problem. Potential doesn't fulfill itself. It must be used. It must be disciplined. It must be nurtured. If you don't, it goes to waste. Imagine a farmer with the richest soil, black, fertile ground. He's got the right weather, the right season, the right tools. But what if he never plants the seed? What if he just looks at his neighbor's field and says, his crop looks better than mine, so I won't even try? What happens? His ground stays empty. His soil is wasted. His potential is lost. You and I, we are that farmer. Every day, we're holding seeds, ideas, dreams, talents. But are we planting them? Or are we wasting them while looking at someone else's harvest? Now listen carefully. You are better than others, but not to compete with them. You are better than others because of what's inside you. It's not about ego. It's about responsibility. If you can read faster, think sharper, work harder, then don't waste that gift. Use it, improve it, share it. Life doesn't reward the one with the most potential. It rewards the one who uses it. One of the greatest pains you can carry is regret. At the end of your life, you don't regret the chances you took. You regret the ones you didn't. The books you never wrote. The skills you never developed. The business you never started. The relationships you never built. You look back and think, I had it in me, but I wasted it. Don't carry that pain. Don't let your potential rot away. So, how do we unlock it? It starts with discipline. Discipline is the bridge between what you are and what you could be. You say, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow turns into weeks. Weeks into years. Before long, you've let your gift slip away. Don't wait. Start now. Write, the page, run the mile, make the call, learn the skill. Discipline is how ordinary people become extraordinary. Here's the truth. Most people will waste their potential. They'll choose comfort. They'll choose distraction. They'll choose excuses. But you can choose differently. Don't waste your life competing on things that don't matter. Don't waste your time trying to prove yourself to people who don't care. Instead, prove yourself to yourself. Live up to your own capacity. When I was younger, I discovered something powerful. The more I used my potential, the more it grew. The more I stretched myself, the more capable I became. It wasn't about being better than my neighbor. It was about being better than who I was yesterday. And slowly, I realized the world doesn't reward comparison. It rewards contribution. You don't win by proving others wrong. You win by proving yourself right. So here's the challenge for you today. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop wasting what you've been given. You are better than others in ways only you know. But if you bury it under fear, laziness, or comparison, you'll never see it bloom. The future belongs to those who use their potential. The future belongs to those who refuse to waste it. Don't leave your life half-lived. Plant the seed. Nurture it. Watch it grow. Because if you don't, no one else will. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So become the person who uses their potential fully, completely, unapologetically. Don't waste it. Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. There's only one person you really need to compete with. And it's not your neighbor. It's not your coworker. It's not that person on social media who seems to have it all. It's you. See, the greatest joy in life doesn't come from beating others. It comes from beating the old version of yourself. That's where real satisfaction lives. Think about it this way. Yesterday, you were someone. You had certain habits. You had certain thoughts. You had certain results. Now today arrives. The question is, are you the same? Or did you improve just a little? If you read one more page today than you did yesterday, that's progress. If you saved one more dollar today than you did yesterday, that's progress. If you gave one more kind word today than you did yesterday, that's progress. And progress, my friend, is where joy is born. Because progress is happiness. Growth is fulfillment. It's not about reaching the mountaintop all at once. It's about climbing a little higher each day. Now let me share something important. If you keep measuring your life against someone else's point, you'll never find peace. Why? Because there will always be someone ahead of you. Someone richer, someone stronger, someone smarter, someone younger. But here's the truth. That doesn't matter. Because their race is not your race. Their story is not your story. Their journey is not your journey. So when you live to beat others, you'll always be chasing shadows. But when you live to outdo yourself, you create light. Your own light. Think of it like a garden. Your neighbor might grow roses. Beautiful, red, sweet-smelling roses. But you're growing apples. Now imagine standing in your apple orchard feeling bad because your trees don't smell like roses. How foolish is that? You weren't meant to grow roses. You were meant to grow apples. And if you nurture your apples, one day they'll feed hundreds. So stop envying the roses. Start tending your orchard and watch your harvest come in. That's the joy of competing only with yourself. When I was young, I fell into that same trap, looking around, measuring, comparing. It's exhausting, and it steals your joy. But then I learned, life is not about being the best. It's about being your best. And your best is different today than it will be tomorrow. That's the good news, because it means you can always get better. And that's exciting. Imagine if every morning you wake up and say, today, I'll be just 1% better than yesterday. Do you realize what happens after a year of that? You're not 1% better. You're 37 times better. That's the power of compounding growth. Now don't think growth means giant leaps every day. It doesn't. Growth is subtle. It's quiet. It's in the little things. Choosing to wake up 15 minutes earlier. Choosing to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Choosing to write down your thoughts instead of keeping them bottled up. Each little choice adds up. Each little win builds momentum. And one day you look back and you don't even recognize the person you used to be. That's the joy. That's the gift. That's the reward of competing with yourself. Now let's be real. Yesterday, maybe you made excuses. Yesterday, maybe you quit early. Yesterday, maybe you doubted yourself. Fine. That was yesterday. But today, you can beat those excuses. Do one thing today that your old self wouldn't. Work a little harder, study a little longer, believe a little stronger. And you know what happens? Tomorrow you'll look back and smile. You'll say, I'm no longer that same person. And isn't that what life is all about? Not staying the same, but becoming more. So let's redefine success. Success is not having more than others. It's having more than you did before. It's not driving a bigger car than your neighbor. It's driving a bigger dream than you had last year. It's not about standing taller than the crowd. It's about standing taller than you used to. That's the game worth playing. That's the race worth running. Because at the end of the day, you'll never outrun everyone else. But you can always outrun the man or woman you used to be. And that race, my friend, is the only one that guarantees joy. So remember this. Don't compete to be better than them. Compete to be better than you. If you live by that rule, you'll never be without joy. You'll never be without progress. And you'll never be without hope. Because every single day becomes a new victory. Not against the world, but against your old self. And that, my friend, is the joy of growth. There comes a time when you must stop borrowing the measurements of the world. Stop using someone else's yardstick to determine your worth. Stop asking, am I as good as them? And instead begin asking, am I living the life that I truly desire? You see, comparison is a thief. It steals not just your joy, it steals your imagination. It steals your ability to design a life of your own choosing. Because if you're always looking left and right, you never look ahead. And life is always lived forward. I remember a friend of mine years ago. He was always chasing the next car because his neighbor had one better, chasing the bigger house because his cousin upgraded, chasing the appearance of success, not the essence of it. And I asked him once, are you happy? Many. Bye. He paused. He said, I will be when I finally get there. But here's the problem. There never came. Because every time he arrived, someone else was already one step ahead. And so he lived in a race that never ended. A race where the finish line always moved. That's the tragedy of comparison. You never win. So what's the answer? The answer is simple. Stop competing in a game you don't need to play. Instead, become the architect of your own life. Pick up the pencil. Draw the blueprint. Design it according to your values, your dreams, your uniqueness. Life is not about imitation. Life is about creation. Think about a garden. One gardener plants roses. Another plants vegetables. Another lets wildflowers grow freely. Would it make sense for the rose gardener to envy the tomato grower? Would the wildflower complain that it isn't as structured as the rose bush? Of course not. Each garden has its own purpose, its own beauty, its own design, and so it is with life. Your life is your garden. Plant what matters to you. Don't waste your time comparing your harvest to another man's. Now let me tell you something important. Designing your life without comparison doesn't mean you settle. It doesn't mean you don't dream big. It doesn't mean you ignore the achievements of others. What it means is this. You learn from others, but you don't live through them. You admire, but you don't envy. You respect, but you don't resent. You can say, that inspires me. But you must also say, now let me go and build in my own way. I like to call it the art of living fully. Living fully means waking up with peace in your heart. It means going to bed with gratitude in your spirit. It means being in harmony with the person you see in the mirror. And here's the beauty. When you stop comparing, you start appreciating. When you stop competing with everyone else, you start connecting. When you stop trying to live their story, you finally begin to write your own. Ask yourself these questions. What do I truly want my life to look like? What would bring me meaning? Not just money. What kind of person do I want to become? Because that's the key. Not am I better than them, but am I becoming better than I was? Let me share a thought with you. Imagine you're at the end of your life. You're sitting in your favorite chair, looking back at the story you've lived. Do you think you'll be proud that you kept up with the neighbors? That you dressed a little better than the man next to you? That you matched someone else's pace? Or do you think you'll smile because you ran your own race? Because you lived aligned with your values? Because you designed a life that was yours? I think you already know the answer. Here's the truth. Fulfillment never comes from comparison. It comes from authenticity. It comes from integrity. It comes from building a life that reflects your deepest desires, not someone else's expectations. And the moment you grasp this, something amazing happens. The race slows down. The noise fades away. You begin to breathe. You begin to live. So here's my challenge to you. Stop comparing. Start creating. Design your life. Build it brick by brick. Shape it into something you can be proud of. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about being ahead of someone else. It's about being at peace with yourself. That, my friend, is living fully. That is the joy of a life designed without comparison. My friends, let me leave you with this. Life is too short, far too precious, to spend it looking sideways. Comparison is a thief. It robs you of peace. It steals your gratitude. It blinds you to your own blessings. Think about it. Every time you look at someone else's life, every time you measure your success by their achievements, you lose sight of the beauty of your own journey. Your life was never meant to be a copy. It was meant to be an original, a masterpiece in progress. Now, here's the truth. No matter who you compare yourself to, there will always be someone ahead. Someone stronger, richer, smarter, younger. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your days chasing shadows. You'll spend your years running in circles. You'll spend your whole life trying to be someone you were never meant to be. But here's the good news. There's only one person you truly need to compete with. The person you were yesterday. Can you be a little wiser today? A little kinder? A little more disciplined? A little more focused? If so, you're winning. Progress is the real prize. Growth is the real victory. And peace of mind is the greatest reward. Let me tell you something important. Success is not about being better than others. Success is about being the best version of yourself. It's about waking up in the morning and saying, I'm living true to my values. I'm moving in the direction of my dreams. I'm designing a life that feels right for me. That, my friends, is freedom. Freedom from the chains of comparison. Freedom from the weight of expectations. Freedom from the endless race you never signed up for. So, design your life. Don't copy it. Don't settle for a secondhand dream. Choose what matters to you. Choose what lights your fire. Choose what makes you proud when you look in the mirror. And remember, gratitude is the anchor. Gratitude keeps you grounded. Gratitude reminds you of how far you've come. Gratitude helps you see what's right in your life instead of what's missing. The moment you stop comparing and start appreciating, that's the moment you begin to live. Now, I want to give you one last challenge. Tonight, before you go to bed, ask yourself this simple question. Did I live today true to myself? Did I make progress, even in the smallest way? If the answer is yes, then celebrate. If the answer is no, then learn. And tomorrow, start again. You don't need to outshine anyone else. You don't need to run anyone else's race. Your only task is to walk your path, one step at a time, with courage, with gratitude, and with intention. Because at the end of it all, no one will ask, were you better than others? The real question will be, were you better than you used to be? Did you live fully? Did you give your best? Did you design a life that was truly yours? My friends, that's the measure that matters. That's the race worth running. So stop looking sideways. Stop comparing. And start living. Your journey is waiting. Your best life is calling. And only you can step into it.